This is My Next Question, a Jewelers of America and National Jeweler podcast, sponsored by Darm International. Hello and welcome to My Next Question, a Jewelers of America and National Jeweler podcast. I'm Amanda Gizzi.
And I'm Michelle Graff. Welcome to episode 5. I think it's going to be a great one, not that we've had a bad one so far. Amanda, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Michelle?
I'm good. What have you had going on lately?
Oh my gosh, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. I feel like we've been very busy since the last time. We both have a lot of exciting work going on. You've been closing a big issue, which we'll talk about for State of the Majors, right?
And picking our retailers for the Retailer Hall of Fame, but we can't talk about that.
We can't talk about that. That's top secret.
Yes.
And personally, we seem to be getting in sync with things. They say that the longer you work together, right, Michelle, the more you get in tune with one another.
You dress alike.
You dress alike. So as we go to pick clothes, we're like, we show up both wearing gray jeans. Exactly. And what else, Michelle? What else have we both recently had?
Well, within a week of each other, we both had our first colonoscopies.
Which every jewelry podcast normally talks about.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
So I did not have a great experience with mine. So I'm just going to, this will be a little PSA for a minute.
Okay.
When I was first drinking the prep, I don't know if anybody's had one before who's listening. Some of our listeners definitely had. You have to drink all this prep that basically cleans out your system so they can see everything.
We don't need to give too much information.
Okay, that's maybe too much information. So the prep is not delicious. And when I was drinking the prep the night before, I definitely started to feel a little sick.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a seltzer, and that kind of calmed everything down. And I also figured out that it was best to chase the prep with yellow Gatorade specifically. You are allowed yellow Gatorade.
Mm-hmm.
So the prep went fine, whatever. I got to the hospital the next day. I had this done at NYU Langone on First Avenue. And they were 2 hours late to start me with the surgery. So I was prepped. I was
starving.
Starving. So there's a couple of problems. You're starving. You haven't had any caffeine because you can't drink anything. So you have caffeine withdrawal. So I had a terrible headache. And I was also just getting very anxious about having this procedure done. So I was laying there and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then I started to get nauseous. Mm-hmm. So I had a headache. I was nauseous. And I eventually just threw up right over the side of the bed.
Well, Michelle, this is not the story that I thought we were going to be sharing.
I threw up off the side of the bed, and I have a very loud sneeze, and also I'm a very loud vomiter. And I was just horking off the side of the bed. It was so loud.
And I
was like, is anybody in here? Like, there's all these nurses and people. I was like, I'm not telling anybody that I just threw up, because if they tell me I can't have this done, I was like, I'm not going through this whole thing again. So I didn't say anything to anybody. I think people definitely heard it, but I just didn't say anything. And then they took me back, and I had my colonoscopy. I had some polyps removed, which is why you get this done.
Right.
PSA, get it done. It's not a pleasant experience, but you need to get it done. And I love anesthesia, and that part of the experience was fine. I was fine when it was over, but I could not stand the waiting there. And I think the problem was they were 2 hours late.
Right.
If I had just gone in and have it as scheduled, it would have been fine. But the waiting and the anxiety and the being hungry, it just didn't work for me. Amanda, how was your experience?
So much better than yours. If anybody's questioning if they should go, don't listen to Michelle, listen to me. It was totally fine. Totally fine. I had no problems with the prep. No issues. I got in fast. I got home fast. Felt fine right immediately after. So, sorry, Michelle.
That's okay.
Totally different experience. Do you know who is really not having to worry about colonoscopies right now? Most likely is our 20 under 40.
Oh,
and that's one of the topics that's going to bring us back to jewelry today on the podcast. Is our 20 under 40. We'll talk about that list and why it's important coming up. What else do we have coming up, Michelle?
We're also going to give our predictions for Las Vegas Market Week, which I think is very exciting.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about two big things that just dropped. One is the State of the Majors issue, National Jewelers State of the Majors issue, always very hotly anticipated, and JSA's annual crime report for 2025, in which the Jeweler Security Alliance shares all their data on robberies, thefts, homicides in the jewelry industry, dollar losses, and kind of how that compares to years past. Another thing that everybody's always anxious to read.
We'll also be talking about another facet of the jewelry industry, the state of the auction industry. And later in the episode, we'll have Frank Everett of Sotheby's with us. So it's going to be a great episode. Stick around. We'll be right back after this word. DARM International is a global leader in natural diamond manufacturing, delivering exceptional craftsmanship through advanced traceability and net zero sustainable practices since 2022. With over 50 years of expertise and 4,500 skilled artisans, they craft diamonds from 0.18 to 100 plus carats, supporting retailers worldwide with consistent quality and responsible sourcing. Visit www.ddpl.com to learn more.
As we know, jewelry never sleeps, and in the month of March, neither do I, because of this. The State of the Majors issue. There it is, 2026. So
sneak peek.
A sneak peek. So in this issue, we have 4 stories. We do a story on the state of kind of each facet of the industry, if you will. We have the state of retail, which we're looking at kind of 6 things to know about consumers today, consumer mindset, particularly Gen Z consumers. And there's a lot of discussion actually in this whole issue about younger consumers. We also have a story about the next generation of American gem cutters, how they're kind of creating community and staying in touch online, and where they're learning their craft and what their inspiration is. We have a story called What's Next for Natural Diamonds, and that is about, again, appealing to the next generation. How do we get them interested in natural diamonds, especially with competition from lab-grown stones, and that's a great one. And then the one that I think a lot of people are going to like them all, but one I think that is really topical is how designers are handling the high price of gold. What collections are they creating, and what are they switching to other metals, and how are they pricing things? How are they communicating that to their customers? So I think it's a great issue, and everybody should pick a copy up, and you'll also be able to read it online. So we're really excited that it's out.
You can pick up a copy at JCK. We're at Jewelers of America National Jewelers booth.
Correct.
Sure.
You can.
So we're excited to have that there. It's always a great issue. I can't wait to see what the designers are up to with gold. Obviously, it's been a super hot topic.
And Natalie Francisco, our associate editor who covers fashion, wrote that story, and she did a really nice job. I mean, all the editors did a fantastic job, but I think Natalie's story will be very topical in Vegas, because I think the price of gold is something all the designers want to know about, want to talk to other designers about what they're doing. So I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I just had a pleasure of doing a trend presentation with Natalie in Alabama for one of our learning workshops, and it's always fun to hear Natalie and her perspective on designer jewelry and how they're adapting to trends and how it's usable at every price point across retail. So she always does a really good job.
Yeah,
looking forward to that. One thing that we're excited about is the release of our 2026 class of Jewelers of America's 20 Under 40.
Yay!
It's always a great program. Thank you. Yes, this class was very well received. There's a lot of within the retail space, especially, it's always fun for me to see the different types of positions that these leaders hold. We have anywhere from a CEO and an owner all the way down to sales associates and people within the marketing teams, and they're really making a huge impact, not only on their businesses, but within the industry at large at a really young age. So I've always been inspired to see how much this next generation is going to really propel us to greatness, instead of everyone's always concerned about this aging demographic of jewelry store owners, and nobody's opening jewelry stores anymore. And I really do get the sense that we're going to be in good hands. We have 40 individuals on this list. We have our 20 suppliers, which is jewelry designers and people who supply products and services to the industry, along with 20 within the retail space. So 20 under 40 lists. All 40 of them are incredibly talented in their own right. So that's been really great to get that class out, and we get to celebrate them over the course of the next 12 months.
That's amazing. And we put that up on National Jewelers Instagram, and it did so well. We got so many people came on to congratulate the inductees, and they're always nice to see, and that list is always something people look forward to seeing. So congratulations to all them. And I agree. I do think that I feel less worried about younger people coming into the industry than I did a few years ago. And I'm so glad JA highlights these young leaders. I think it's great. I think it's great for them to get their names out there, get their faces out there, and get them that recognition. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course. And we'll have a great interview with them in an upcoming issue of Retail Hall of Fame as
the
well.
Retailer Hall of Fame,
So
yes.
we always get to have them featured in that issue, so thanks for that.
Well, National Jeweler never sleeps either. So
That's right.
got
That's
another
what we
magazine
do.
to do this
That's
year.
what we do.
Also recently released was this Jewelers Security Alliance's annual crime report, which we cover every year in National Jeweler. I'm just going to read off some statistics from this year's report. So the report is for even though we're in 2026, the report is for 2025, and it showed while the number of incidents of crime decreased, the dollar losses rose, and this is the same trend we've seen. I was looking at this the other day. This is the same trend we've seen for at least the past 3 years. So the number of crimes against jewelry businesses dropped by 13% in 2025. That's year over year compared to 2024.
Yeah.
While dollar losses were up slightly, they rose about 2% to 144.7 million. And yes, the JSA numbers are adjusted for inflation. So like I said, this has been the trend for the last few years. And what this tells us is there are fewer kind of petty crimes like grab and runs, distraction thefts, switches, and more professional crews that move around and are cutting through walls, cutting through roofs, cutting into vaults, cutting into safes, using Wi-Fi jammers, like using high technology to get in and really just wipe jewelers out and take huge amounts of product. You know, they're not trying to go in and snatch one necklace and run. They're taking huge amounts of product, and it's really scary. And National Jeweler recently wrote a story where the FBI actually, and this is not common, put out a warning for jewelry stores and refineries due to the high price of gold that they may be targets. I will link the story in the story about this podcast. They have a long list of suggestions, including obviously being aware if your store is being surveilled. That's a big one. Right. And there's also technology jewelers can buy that it's called, one of the products is called Jam Guard, and it protects against cell phone and Wi-Fi jammers. So that's just a couple of things, but it's always an insightful report, and was interesting to see this trend of fewer incidences but higher dollar losses continue. Right. So this trend of the number of crimes happening are fewer, but when they're happening, they're really big.
Yeah.
So
I actually just met with the gentleman who created Jam Guard, and he was telling me, yes, it's great that they are investing and they're making all of this incredible tech that they can tell before someone even walks into your store if they're carrying a weapon. They can detect things really early. They're able to get to law enforcement that much earlier because of this, he said. But the challenge is, unfortunately, the bad guys are also using improved tech.
Yeah.
Right. So they're walking into, as you mentioned, safes and huge vaults being emptied from the ceiling or from the ground and all of this, and they're finding ways to get around that technology. But it's more important than ever that jewelers protect their businesses.
Yeah. And, read all the tips JSA points out. Read the crime report. Be aware of what's going on and what the trends are.
So let's talk a little bit about Las Vegas.
Okay.
The shows are coming up fast and furious. So we'll be attending both JCK, luxury, as well as couture. Mm-hmm. What are your predictions, Michelle, about attendance? What you think we're going to see a lot of? What will people be talking about? You heard it here first.
I don't really have a good guess as to attendance. But I will say, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I think two things I think you're going to see a lot of is you're going to see a lot of ear cuffs, and you're going to see a lot of pinky rings. Maybe the pinky ring's just a wishful thinking thing on my part because I want a pinky ring. Mm-hmm. But I think those are two predictions for trends. Attendance, I don't know. Like, I seem to remember last year that the energy at the shows felt really good.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that continues this year. And I think both shows, Couture and JCK, have done a really good job of making the shows an experience and adding things that are more than just adding education, adding events. It's more than just coming around and walking the show floor. I did not see them personally last year, but I heard there were puppies or dogs at JCK.
Oh, I didn't see them last year. They've had them the past couple of years. I have stopped by to see a dog from time to time at the
that's
shows, but
nice.
I did not see them last year.
I wonder why they don't have any cats.
Allergies, probably.
Oh, right.
I don't know. Sorry, Michelle. There's just more dog people in the world.
I don't think that's true, but okay.
I would say for trends for me, I do feel like the good thing on attendance is, yes, I don't know if it's going to be up or down or flat. However, I feel like the people that are going to the show are going to buy, and they're going to really invest in their business. The shows have gotten too expensive. Las Vegas has gotten too expensive for people to just go anymore.
Just go to look.
Right.
I think that you're right. That's a trend we've seen the last couple of years. And that's what the exhibitors will tell you. Like, I had fewer people coming to my booth, but the people coming here knew what they wanted, and they had money to spend, and they bought.
Yeah, absolutely. And while you're going to look for ear cuffs and pinky rings, which I agree, pinky rings definitely a trend. I don't know how much we're going to see it really staring at us in the face, but I definitely think tassels and tassel jewelry is a trend that we're sort of keeping our eye on for 2026. Is coming back. It obviously is not anything new. It's not, it's not a new trend, but we're definitely seeing a resurgence of tassels. So I think we'll see a lot of jewelry with movement, and that will allow people to play around with gemstones and textures and avoid some of that heavy metal weight that we see with some other big, bold fashion designs.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. I love a tassel, so I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. So we are also going to be having a conversation with Frank Everett.
Yes. So Frank Everett is Sotheby's Vice Chairman of Jewelry of the Americas, and he is going to join us next to talk about the auction market, what's hot, what's not, and he'll be right with us after the short break. If they love it, why wait? Bread Financial brings pay over time to your checkout, helping you convert those special moments into confident purchases. Check out flexible financing at gobreadfinancial.com/mynextquestion. Hi, Frank. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. It's exciting.
We're excited to have you.
Good way to start the day.
So my first question is, it seems to me like the auction market has been kind of quiet this year. There haven't been as many, big collections coming to auction or record-breaking sales. Is that my perception, or is there something going on that has consigners holding back a little bit?
I think it's your perception.
Okay.
Because we just kind of knocked it out of the park in Hong Kong last week. I was there for the auctions, and between the jewelry department and then my amazing colleagues in watches, records were broken, outrageous prices were achieved. I mean, my jaw dropped twice in the middle of the auction. I don't know if you saw the bidding battle on the Cartier Tutti Frutti necklace.
That was incredible.
Yes.
But this was like, bouncing back and forth while two of my colleagues were phone bidding, unbelievable. And also there was a beautiful Van Cleef & Arpels tassel necklace that brought a huge price, probably at or maybe even beyond the retail price, as if you had walked into Van Cleef and just plunked down your black Amex. So I think the opposite is true. I think maybe what you're seeing is that there are no big named collections this season, and that happens. Sometimes it does. Of course, we love nothing more. We want the story of a person, the story, the point of view and the personal style of a woman to share with buyers. But this year, it's just kind of a general various owners market where you get piecemeal, one-off, 2-3 pieces from each client, and I think it's strong. We had super strong sell-through, over 90%, which is fantastic. And then, as I said, the record-breaking prices. And then I don't know if you look at the watch world, but there was a very special collection of all Cartier wristwatches and timepieces and objects. The prices were insane. It just was a pleasure to see that team knock it out of the park the way they did. So I have to say, in answer to that question, the opposite's true right now.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it's so interesting to hear the reasons why, for sure. My next question, Frank, is earlier this year, Christie's global head of jewelry, Max Fawcett, did an interview with Rob Bates, in which he states that there's an increasing interest in colored stones at auction, while interest and prices of diamonds have declined. Do you agree with that assessment? And tell us your take on the gemstone market versus diamonds.
Yeah, I think in a general sense, I agree
Yeah.
with it for sure. I think the strength of the colored stone market just continues to grow. I've been here now going on 14 years. We have been talking about the strength of colored stones in our market. You know, we always sort of say it's about great signed period jewels and rare colored gems. The great, you know, classic Colombian emeralds with no oil, the cashmere sapphire, or the great Burma no heat sapphire. So yes, that continues to be an area for trophy hunters who are really looking for the best of the best, and that's what comes up at auction. You know, my career before I joined Sotheby's was in retail. I worked at Tiffany, I worked at Bulgari, I worked at Harry Winston, and there are beautiful gemstones there, but you don't see the occurrence of that level all the time. You know, if you walk into one of those houses, it's not going to be, you know, there's not going to see a drawer full of great no oil classic Colombian clean emeralds, but we see them at auction between us and the other houses. The diamond market is still very strong where colored diamonds are concerned. He's probably referring to the white diamond market, although again, if you look at the results in Hong Kong last week, we got some really nice prices on white diamonds, including the big 2888 carat round that we sold.
The Zhuanang diamond?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was incredible.
What a beautiful stone, and what a great result we got on that. And it was a pleasure again to see somebody in the room bidding with a paddle that won that lot. Yeah. I think we're starting to see those prices come back as well. But what I love most is when we get a very rare example of you know, a colored stone that's not one of the big three, you know, not ruby, sapphire, or emerald. And that is one of the most exciting things at auction, when you get, you know, a spinel or I don't know, a really fabulous opal, for instance. You know, you don't see a lot of opals, but when you get a good one, they bring a huge price. Or even an aquamarine, you know, the per carat price on aquamarine is not something we usually crow about until you get a really good one. And then people go crazy for it. So I kind of love that there are just trophy hunters here in the auction world, and that's what we love.
I want to make two comments. I love to see a nice Alexandrite at auction, and I seem to remember last year, Lauren McElmore, one of my editor who covers the colored stone market, wrote about, and I apologize, I can't remember which auction house sold it, but there was an Alexandrite that fetched a very high price at auction, and that story went crazy on our website. People loved it. I think there's another nice one up for auction now. But I do want to say one thing about the colored diamonds. I think one thing that sticks in my mind was it the Mellon Blue, Frank, that came back up for auction last year and sold for less than it did back in 2014, 2015, whenever it originally sold? So what?
It did.
Why was that?
Well, because when that sold in 2014, yes, you were looking at that point, it was almost 10 carats. It's now slightly smaller because it was recut for a little bit of improvement. I would never have done that, but that's not my thing, right? Gemstone people think differently than jewelry people, and I'm more of a jewelry person. So for me, having worked closely on the Mellon estate, that was a very exciting moment to see that stone for the first time when we were in Virginia on the farm at Oak Spring. And I think I had a colleague who's retired now, but she used to say, you know, when the sizzle is off the steak, the value of the provenance won't be quite as high. So when you've got like a complete building takeover the way we did of Mrs. Paul Mellon, and we had everything from her blue diamond all the way to sets of linen napkins, and people were going crazy to just own a piece of her style. She was one of the most, really to me, in the 20th century, the true original influencer, the true lifestyle guru that sort of invented a way of decorating and a way of gardening and a way of collecting jewelry. So that provenance was so hot at the time, and when it comes back one-off years later, it never gets that value. So I feel like the price that it sold for was more reflective of the material and what the true value of that material would be, as opposed to, you know, being funny melons. You know, it still has the name. They gave it the name, the Mellon Blue, but it's not the same stone because it's been altered, and it's also not the same time as it was in 2014. Does that make kind of sense?
No, that makes a ton of sense. There was just so much excitement when her whole collection came to auction once. It's kind of like when you see Elizabeth Taylor pieces now surface at auction here and there, yes, it's still interesting and it still grabs headlines, but it'll never be that moment in time when Christie's was selling the whole collection. I mean, that was phenomenal.
Sotheby's, when Sotheby's sold. Oh, you mean Elizabeth Taylor? Right?
Elizabeth Taylor, yes.
Correct, yes. I agree 100%. Provenance has an expiration date for the most part. I think there are rare examples of provenance that will endure for all time. Marie Antoinette, right? We've seen pieces with her provenance at both of the big houses. We're proud to have sold 6 pieces from her collection. I think Princess Diana's provenance will endure for all time. The prices that we've achieved on some of her garments, her little black sheep sweater, and then one of her favorite purple velvet gown. Those will endure. But for most people, provenance doesn't last forever.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. I want to shift gears a little bit here. And, I know last year we wrote about Sotheby's having a big sale in the UAE. It was the Desert Rose Diamond. There was an incredible collection of Patek Philippe watches. Has Sotheby's had to change its plans for the Middle East in 2026 because of the unrest in the region at all?
Well, I wouldn't say change plans, but I think certainly responding the way everyone needs to respond that does business in the Middle East. It's a very important market for us and will continue to be. The growth there has been phenomenal in terms of bidders and buyers just in the last 18 months. I don't have the figures right in front of me, but they are really impressive. And so I think obviously first and foremost is our concern is the safety of our colleagues that work there. But I wouldn't say changing plans. I don't know the actual auction schedule of what's coming up, but we will be there. And I think it's a difficult time for, as I said, for anyone who's doing business there, and that includes us.
Frank, I have 2 quick questions. One follow-up from an earlier statement that you had about spinels, and I was just curious about your take on the color range of spinel, and if there's a certain color within the spinel family that has done well at auction that you get excited to see. Obviously, we know in other gemstones, what those prized colors are. What are you seeing with spinel?
Well, I think the red ones that get mistaken for rubies are always going to be the favorites.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm sure some of the important rubies in crown jewels are actually spinels. And it offers you that color. It actually sometimes achieves the color of ruby in your mind that you actually don't get from a ruby sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes they can have a little bit more purple or blue or something than you're expecting. But when you get that spinel, you're like, oh, that's what I was expecting. Then you've got the clarity and more life to the stone than you do with a ruby. So that's why I love them so much. And I think the red ones are always going to be the top pick. They just perform so well.
Well, Michelle and I are both August babies, so we have spinel as our birthstone. So we both are locked in on the spinel conversations at all times.
I mean, widely known to be the best month for birthdays.
Exactly. Well, when you brought up Alexandrite too, it just reminded me, I think a year and a half ago, I'm going to say 3 seasons ago, we had a ring and a pair of earrings that were maybe the best Alexandrites I've ever seen. They were so beautiful. And the bidding war for those, a lot of people don't even know what Alexandrite is. And it's always a fun thing to explain to them what natural color change is in a stone, in a gemstone, and then to be able to demonstrate it with such incredible examples, such incredible material as we had. I'll try and find after we're done. I'll try and find links to those pieces so you can see them, because they were mesmerizing, and the prices achieved, I think, still stand as a world record for Alexandrite.
I think that's the sale that I was referencing, because I seem to remember there being, you said earrings and a necklace, right?
Yeah, earrings and a ring.
Earrings and a ring. Okay, I think that's the sale I'm talking about. Yeah, they were incredible.
And I still very close to the person who bought the earrings. My client bought the earrings, and then we bid on the ring, and we were outbid. And almost 2 years later, we're still kind of like, well, why didn't we keep bidding? Because you're not going to find another one anytime soon.
Incredible. Before I turn the talk back to auctions, I want to bring up a quick Instagram post that I just saw with you, Frank. Devil's Wear Prada 2, a comparison to someone in the cast.
Yes.
And I have to say you wore it better. You wore the brooches better. So talk
You are kind.
to us about that. To us about brooches, your love, and how they've become sort of your go-to identifier, really, with fashion. You have a beautiful brooch on today.
And tell us about the brooch you're wearing
Yeah.
today, too, because it's phenomenal.
Well, so this is wonderful. This is a classic Verdura brooch, 18 karat gold, of course, with diamonds. And this one will be coming up in our fine jewelry auction in June here in New York.
Okay.
So this one will be on view during Luxury Week in mid-June, and people can bid on it. It's just a fantastic design. I am very partial to Verdura. For many reasons. I love the story and the history of Fulco di Verdura himself, his relationship with Coco Chanel, the circle in which he moved in the 1930s and 40s when he moved to New York, because I do consider him really an American jeweler. This is an American house to me, even though he himself was Sicilian. So Verdura is very special to me. I will say with Stanley Tucci on the cover of this month's Town and Country, of course, coinciding with Devil Wears Prada.
Yes.
I've been mistaken for him for decades. Really before the Devil Wears Prada, probably about 25 years, where people just, did anybody ever tell you look just like Stanley Tucci? And it's always fun because I'm such a huge fan. I take it as a compliment, and not somebody that I really ever expected to meet. I will say if I happen to find myself working in London where he lives, I get it even more, where I get those little side glances, people walking by where it's like, oh yeah, they think I'm Stanley Tucci. So when my friend Stelline Volandis, who's the editor-in-chief of Town & Country, had sort of an open invitation for jewelry for the cover shoot, I jumped at the chance and I said, oh my God, I want to bring some brooches and maybe I'll have a chance to meet him. So indeed, we spent the day shooting with the whole crew, and he was just the loveliest, most gracious, warm person. And I got to, put the brooch on him. It was an amazing Paul Flato piece from 1938 that we actually have available for private sale. And so he wore the brooch on the cover. And then if you saw the post yesterday, I just decided I have the brooch, I have a tuxedo, I'm going to recreate
It was so good. I literally was flipping back and forth. And I was like, wait, which one's Frank? It's incredible.
It was great. I mean, what a great moment. I'm so grateful to Celine for making it happen. And, normally in the line of duty, we don't do that. We meet celebrities often, and you don't take selfies when we're working with people. That's just not something we do. I've had the pleasure of meeting lots of folks. If it's an organic thing and you're at an event and there's a picture, that's great. But I mean, in terms of like that day, I couldn't resist. So we asked for permission first from the Town and Country folks and from his publicist. They said, of course, he was happy to take the picture with me, and I'll treasure it. It was just a great moment to finally meet him.
Well, you are our Stanley Tucci.
For sure.
Thank you. I'm the Stanley Tucci of jewelry. I can cook a little bit too. Not so much Italian food, but I can cook.
It's amazing.
You have a last question?
What in your, Frank, and you might have a hard time answering this, but what in your opinion is the most amazing piece of jewelry to come to auction in the last 5 years? And you don't have to pick something that, that was part of a big collection or was written about a lot or in the headlines. I mean, if you want to pick something that was kind of a little more under the radar, that's great too. But what do you think was the best piece of jewelry you've seen come to auction recently? The
best piece of jewelry. That is... My mind always whirls at this question, and people ask me even over years. I'm grateful to you for narrowing it down to 5 years, because some people ask me like my whole career, and it's like, oh my God, do you know how many amazing things I've been privileged to handle? But for me, I think the most amazing piece of jewelry as an object was the Anglesey necklace that we sold last year.
Yes.
The amazing sort of scarf with tassels made of all the old mine diamonds. I think for a number of reasons, certainly the story and the likelihood that many of those diamonds came from the famous Marie Antoinette affair of the necklace that was then stolen and taken to London and broken up, and this necklace would have been made at exactly the same time with very similar stones. So there's that sort of jewelry intrigue, right? We all love a jewelry mystery. And then to think of this thing in the Anglesey collection going to not one but two coronations in England. I think that's amazing. And then it's such a wearable, modern, fabulous jewel. Like, even if none of that other backstory existed, the way you can just wear it sort of hanging around your neck, the weight of it just falls beautifully, and it's just kind of like a scarf around your neck, or it can be tied in a bow because it's so flexible with those two tassels. I think it's just it was pretty hard to stop looking at that thing. We had it here for a bit in New York.
Yeah, I came to New York. Do you remember? I came up to the Sotheby's office, and we saw it, and we tried on some other things as well. But it was incredible.
You remember the weight of it, and
yes,
it was like fabric. It felt like fabric woven out of these diamonds, and they were big stones. These weren't like 1 carat diamonds; they were big diamonds. So I just loved everything about it. It was a real pleasure to handle that piece, and then to be part of I was bidding with an American client. We didn't win. That was another one of the great bidding battles of the decade, and I think that's probably for me the greatest jewel that we've handled in the last 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
Do you actually have another bidding battle story that sticks out in your head, Frank? I know, just seeing the news, as you said, the most recent bidding battle that went on was incredible to watch from an outsider's perspective, from an insider's perspective, to be in their room. What is that like?
Well, before I answer that, I do have to say the two pieces that I mentioned, the Cartier Tutti Frutti necklace and then the Van Cleef tassel necklace. What I love seeing is that both of those achieved prices pretty much close to retail. So we consider those modern pieces. Anything sort of made after, I don't know, the mid-90s, we call modern, right? You don't really say that that's a vintage piece. And traditionally, they don't bring such high prices when a piece is only 10 or 15 or 20 years old. That particular Cartier necklace, I believe, was made in 2007. So, it was really amazing to see it bring that price. But the other bidding battle, I guess, would have to go back to Marie Antoinette and the pearl that is now in a museum. It was, I think the hammer price was 32 million Swiss francs. And the value of that pearl was probably more around 1.5 or 2 million Swiss francs at the time. So beyond that, everything was about not just the provenance, but also it came down to the two bidders that both just really wanted it. Right. So provenance took it to a level where there were a number of other bidders who really wanted it. Then it came down, I believe, to just two people that did not want to lose. And that's a different mentality. So, there's different psychologies about bidding that come into play. And sometimes it just comes down to people that want to win.
That's what makes a great auction.
Did you watch that? Do you remember watching that?
I do remember watching that one.
Yeah, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was about 2016 in Geneva also. And we had had the collection here in New York, and it was the first time in my career at Sotheby's, that we had lines around the block waiting to see her jewels. We did, of course, prior to my joining in the 90s, we had Jacqueline Kennedy's collection, and then in the 80s, we had the Duchess of Windsor. Both of those, of course, had lines around the block too. But when Marie Antoinette's pearls were here, we practically had to do timed tickets. It was so incredible.
Well, the Duchess of Windsor's sale was the sale before Elizabeth Taylor. I remember when Elizabeth Taylor came on the market, everybody was comparing it to the Duchess of Windsor.
Yes. It set the standard in 1987, I believe it was. And I think the sale total at that time was 44 million, which that was an all-time record for a single owner collection. And it set the standard for jewelry auctions forever. That's sort of it. And still to this day, when you talk about the Duchess of Windsor, her provenance a bit tarnished particularly from The Crown. When people watch the series The Crown, and the portrayal of as a Nazi sympathizer makes a lot of people not maybe love the Duchess of Windsor so much. But what you cannot deny in our world is the passion for collecting and how she collaborated with all the great houses, and every piece was bespoke and unbelievable. So to me, it's still, from a collector's perspective, the greatest collection of all time.
Frank, can you give us a little insight into what you have coming up and what Sotheby's has coming up for the remainder of 2026? Is there anything exciting on tap that you can share with us?
Well, yes, we're at a time, it's an interesting time because, you have to announce things at sort of just the right time. It can't be too early and it can't be too late. So we do have some great things in the works for the fall season, which will be, November in Geneva and December in New York. But those things aren't we're not announced yet because we're in the thick of the spring season. So we just finished Hong Kong last week, and now we have Geneva coming up in May and then New York in June. I think there's a spectacular necklace coming. It's on the cover of the Geneva sale, and it's a beautiful sort of a tie necklace, like the Van Cleef one that we sold here. And it's all rubies and diamonds, and it has sort of a fringe of rubies on the shoulders that can be removed and worn as a pair of fringe bracelets. And it's just spectacular. So I think that's going to be a very exciting one to talk about, an exciting one to work with. And the big news here in New York will be one of the most incredible Harry Winston diamond necklaces I've ever seen. It's going to be on the cover of our catalog. And it's from about 1960. And it's really unusual in that it's mostly made with round diamonds instead of the traditional wreath and cluster necklaces that you think of from Winston that incorporate lots of pairs and marquise along with rounds. This one is mostly round diamonds, and so it's just spectacular and unusual, and I'm just excited to have such a classic piece of American jewelry. We are doing a number of things throughout the year to mark America's 250th anniversary. We're really trying to highlight some American jewelry. We're doing something exciting that is not yet announced, but will be this summer with a great American jeweler, the quintessential American jeweler. I'll leave it at that. Okay. You can guess from there.
I can guess, yes.
So we're going to do a little exhibition of some wonderful things at the Breuer there this summer. So I'm super excited because they're my good pals. And this Harry Winston necklace to be on the cover. I just think it's a nice time to talk about American jewelry. Where the focus is so often with vintage jewelry on Paris and all things French, and French marks mean everything, and the Place Vendôme. And while we love that, I like to talk about our great American houses too. So I'm thrilled to have my colleague took that necklace in, and I had seen pictures of it, and I was just sort of like, when is it coming? When is it coming? So finally last week we got it in hand and started photographing it. It's now on the road. It's traveled. I had it in Hong Kong to show clients. It will go on I'll take it to Geneva when we have the sale there to show clients in Europe, and then we'll bring it back and sell it in New York in June. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Took me way too long to figure out who the quintessential American jeweler was. Way too long. Anyway, sorry. Frank, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been so fun, and I can't wait to see the releases and photographs of all these great pieces you mentioned. We've loved having you today.
Yeah, thank you, Frank.
Really been fun chatting with you. My pleasure. Be happy to do it anytime. It's my pleasure to share stories, and I'll any reason to put on a brooch.
What did you say? A little Verdura never hurts.
A little Verdura never hurts.
Oh, amazing! Thanks,
Thank you.
We're gonna put that on my gravestone.
All right. Thank you. Thanks again, Frank.
Thanks both. Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Confident jewelry sales start with DCA education. Diamond Council of America offers affordable, online training built for retail jewelry professionals with courses covering diamonds, colored gemstones, beginning and advanced jewelry sales. Whether you're onboarding new hires or sharpening the expertise of experienced staff, DCA's program leads to a professional jewelry sales diploma that helps your team build expertise, connect with customers, and close more sales. Invest in your people. Strengthen your business. Visit dcalearning.org to enroll your team today. On the last episode of My Next Question, I confessed to not liking
Yes.
two-tone jewelry, which shocked the internet,
And
apparently.
shocked me.
It shocked Michelle more than anything.
I think so, yeah.
If you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it just to watch Michelle's face as I declare that I hate something, because I don't often say that I hate anything.
You're so sunny, and I love that
I am
about you.
Pollyanna.
I love it.
So there were a couple hot takes that came out of that. That's one of them. Just to prove a point, though, I did, however, layer in my two-tone today to prove that I'm not anti-two-tone in totality. I can mix it in from time to time. So I have my yellow gold on, I have my silver, I have some white gold peppered in too. So I do two-tone, just not in all one piece. It's fine. Don't you? All right, judge me. I don't care.
Okay.
Anyway, we're going to head back into our jewelry box of fun here, Michelle, and see what else we can come up with today.
See if there's any more hot takes.
See if there's any more hot takes in here. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. These are all connected. Sorry.
Yeah, they got a
all right.
Up.
All right, Michelle, your first question. Oh, starting off strong. What do you think of lab-grown diamonds?
Okay. So I know there's a lot of feelings about this in the jewelry industry. And somebody with JCK, I think it was Amy Elliott, wrote about this, and I really enjoyed it. I don't think the jewelry industry should be shaming people or making people feel bad if they choose a lab-grown diamond for their engagement ring. People are pinched for money right now. Housing is a lot. A lot of people can't afford housing. Childcare is astronomically expensive. Yeah. So I think I could see the logic if you're a young couple starting out and they say you can have this for this much or this for this much. I can see the logic of going with the lower priced item, or if you want a bigger stone for the same or less money, I can see that too. I think both can peacefully coexist. And sometimes I feel like the discussion, honestly, of choosing natural over lab grown comes off to be like a little classist. And I don't like it. I mean, they are both choices. They both exist, and I think people should be shown them, and they should be shown them and explained exactly what they're getting. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but education is giving them a choice, and I don't fault someone for choosing a lab grown over a natural. I don't know if it's what I would personally choose for an engagement ring, but I think that, and I think, and I've said this all along, I think people can have both. Just like people mix, a very expensive skirt or pair of pants with a t-shirt from Zara. And I have both, and I like them both, and I buy both for different reasons and different occasions. Yeah. So I don't know, I just don't like I don't think all the negativity about it has done the natural diamond world any good.
There you go.
And that's my hot take.
That's your hot take. I love it. You're up.
All right, here we go. Here I go, closing my eyes again for no reason.
Okay.
They say that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but not on my next question. Do you have a favorite Las Vegas memory, Amanda?
I have several favorite Las Vegas memories. The one that sticks out in my brain is, I wonder if I can remember the year. There was a David Yurman party at the Rio, and it was at the time when people used to do like after hour parties. It wasn't like at a late night, but it was definitely like a really cool industry event that happened at the Rio. And then
is the Rio still even there?
I don't even know. I think so. It's off the strip, right? It's like set back. It's where it's the one with the bright color lights. Anyway, and I remember so vividly standing out on this incredible balcony, and there was this plunge pool that went out, and there were people actually in the plunge pool. I was not. And just standing out, looking over at the strip and looking back at this incredible room filled with people, and being in a suite, first of all, with the Yurman team, and just thinking how incredible our industry is and how lucky we are to be able to get to do these things. And then the very next day, like walking in at 7:00 in the morning into the trade show and seeing all the same people that I had just seen, a little bit earlier the night before, which is everybody walking in and just still having that same, like, nobody's dragging, nobody was dreading going into the show, because that was the reason we were all there.
Yeah.
And it was just such a cool moment for me that we could enjoy the things that we have, but we can also be willing to work really hard for them.
Yeah.
And to see that from everybody sort of walking into the show was pretty cool.
Well, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. That's a really fun memory. I'm going to move on to my next one for you, Michelle. Oh, do you have a favorite person you follow on social media?
Yes, but it does not it doesn't have to do with jewelry, and I hope that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't have an Instagram account. So my team probably does not like this, but it's one of the perks of being the boss. I kind of, when I want to look on stuff on Instagram, I just go in National Jewelers account. So obviously I look a lot of jewelry stuff. I love it. I love seeing all the brands and all the people we know and love in the industry. But I've also I like cats, as we all know, and I have us following a couple cat accounts.
Show us your socks, Michelle. She has some cat socks on today.
Yeah, little tuxedo action. And I follow a woman, I believe she's based in Houston, Texas, and her handle is @AaronsFosters, and she fosters kittens, and she's always encouraging people to get their animals fixed, to reduce the number of cats and dogs that end up in shelters. And she always just has another family of kittens, and sometimes she's bottle feeding them, which is adorable, and sometimes she's a nursing mother, and I can't get enough of her account that we follow a National Jeweler, even though it has nothing to do with jewelry.
That's because you use the National Jeweler account.
Yes.
So now everyone knows when you see something cat related, it's Michelle.
Yes. Our Discover page has a lot of cats on it.
Exactly.
Anyway.
You're up.
It's me.
You're up.
I love this one for you.
Oh, great.
Pollyanna, diamond is a birthstone, good or bad?
I mean, I
got the lab-grown diamond questions.
I feel as far as birthstones are concerned, I think most people would feel like, oh, April babies are so lucky. I tend to disagree. I think there's something so special about having a gemstone and growing up with that gemstone that you don't have for other occasions. Like, I wasn't going out buying myself peridot. It was given to me, and I became so closely connected to that gemstone and I'm sure April babies will tell me that I'm crazy, that it's the best thing ever, because having a diamond, who doesn't want that? Diamonds are a girl's best friend and all of that. But as far as a birthstone is concerned, I feel like there's so many good birthstones. Yeah. Like, my kids are aquamarine and amethyst, and I love that for each of them, and they both fit that.
You love that for yourself.
I love that for myself. It's it's not one of the crazy ones. I can mix and match and layer those affordably for the most part. And I love it for them. Like, they get to feel that connection to it. It's a little bit harder for my aqua kid, Like, I can take amethyst home and by the armfuls and do cool geodes for my February baby, but for my Valentine. But for aqua, it's a little bit harder. He's getting smaller stones and different types of aqua specimens than we would for amethyst. But
yes,
my take is there are better ones.
Okay, I think that's fair, and I totally agree.
Okay, you're up. Oh, I'm up.
You're up.
Oh, Michelle. Oh, what would you be doing if you didn't work in the jewelry industry?
So I have two answers to that. One is kind of a practical answer of like, what would my skill set match if I wasn't being a writer and working in the jewelry industry? And I would say I probably would have become a lawyer, because I feel like I have that kind of mindset, and I feel like I would be good at that. And
all right, Sarah, don't take her from us yet.
And sometimes I think back and I'm like, oh, what if I had gone to law school? But everyone looks back in their life and thinks, what if? Okay. And my kind of dream job that I don't think I have the aptitude for, but would be amazing, would be a veterinarian, because I just love animals.
Love that. Last
one. Here we are. The jewelry box is officially empty. Oh, I love these questions you're getting. What is your least favorite gemstone?
Oh, geez. My least favorite gemstone, and I really don't know why, I always want to love it and I can't get behind it for some reason, is carnelian. I don't know why. I always feel like I actually own carnelian pieces that I like. Like, in theory, I like them, but for some reason, I just can't gravitate towards them. I go to grab the earrings out of the jewelry box, and I'm like, nope. I just can't quite get there. For some reason, carnelian's just not it for me.
Okay. All right. I like that.
Yeah. All right, Michelle, that was fun.
That was a lot of fun. I always like getting to know you a little better and answering some questions out of here. And I really appreciated that you got some hard questions there.
I'm sure you loved that for me. She always loves that for me. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another great episode of My Next Question. Don't forget to subscribe to My Next Question wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on Instagram at Jewelers of America Members and at National Jeweler for all of the latest industry news and insights.
We'll be back next month with another great episode. See you then.
See you then. Bye.